Welcome to episode 148 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host, Warren Sklar, is on vacation this week, enjoying his anniversary with his bride in beautiful Florida. I'm jealous, but I'm glad he's going to have some fun. But we got two guests this week. First, joining me this week is returning guest, Mrs. Brittany Smith. Hello, Brittany. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a while. Glad we were able to get you back on the show. There's all kinds of stuff to talk about since we have been on Mac Voices Live quite a bit for the last few months, and it became a thing, and it is a thing now. So, and then also want to welcome back, as always, Mr. Jeff Gamet. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me back yet again.
Absolutely. Love have you both on here this week. So got a lot of news this week that I think we can definitely talk a lot about good stuff. Apple's been very busy, as well as iOS 14.5 came out. We'll be giving our views of it's now official, and some of us were on beta, some of us were not. So we'll definitely get some of the features. Definitely won't be able to get to all those features because there's quite a list. So, but I think we'll have plenty to talk about this week. So let's go ahead and just dive right in here. First off, I wanted to just touch a little bit on this week is the numbers, the quarter 2 2021 with Apple, using tidbits as a reference here. And Apple did announce this a couple days ago here, their quarter 2 2021 profits, $23.6 billion. It was on revenue of $89.6 billion. They're doing amazing, 54% up from the year ago. Interesting to see the categories. iPhones dominant, 54% across the board here. Brittany, what did you think? You think Apple's doing okay?
I think it's okay. I probably won't loan them money if they ask.
No, I don't think I would either. Jeff, what do you think? I think all the categories just showing just incredible increases. It's just pretty amazing.
Well, first, isn't it cute how every time Apple has any sort of dip in numbers for anything, people are running around in the street saying Apple is doomed. And yet they're making money on a scale that's literally impossible to comprehend.
Maybe that's it. Like, not to just pull in and be like the cog science person, but maybe we can't grasp the numbers easily. And so it's a lot easier to just track the delta, right? Like how those motion rides work, that you don't really go anywhere. It just simulates it by like just moving just enough out of your stationary position to make it seem like you're actually going somewhere. And so if all you see is that little delta, because that's all your brain can get wrapped around, because I honestly do not have a good way to conceptualize billions. And maybe they don't either. Yes, with a pinky, that's helpful.
It's all clear to me now. Now, are we looking at numbers that are in line, like with holiday quarters?
Yeah, it's just
crazy.
Let's
just say, I know I lose track of their quarters, but we're not talking about the holiday one, right?
No, we're not. This is the second quarter.
We were.
Yeah.
I mean, iPhone set 47.9 billion. It was compared to 29 billion a year ago. iPad it was up of 78%, 47.9 billion over, and it just keeps going. Just amazing. Even Mac even showed a big, huge increase. Services.
The Mac I'm not surprised about as much as the phone.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's like, I'm going to go somewhere for the first time. I actually need a phone that works. I don't know.
Yeah. So it just keeps going. Wearables was just way up. I'm just super pleased. And then I look at the stock. The stock's down today. It's so obviously investors weren't too terribly excited about it. So
I find it fascinating, just the whole thing with the stock market really being this almost arbitrary emotional market. I'm seriously
almost
okay. Not even almost. It's actually this arbitrary emotional thing. I mean, look at stocks, how they rise and fall.
It's nice based on people's lives moods. Are created and destroyed based on mostly fictitious information, fantasy numbers, projections.
Yeah, fantasy numbers. And now, if they being the the analysts that come up with these numbers from whatever dark hole they find them in, if they've projected that that a company is going to do better than the company actually does, well, then they have to adjust. But still, I mean, this is just ridiculous emotion and pretend numbers that people are buying yachts with.
Pretty much. So, but if you want to dive into more of the details, we could probably spend a good 25, 30 minutes on just this alone. Go check the article there from Tidbits. They did a great write-up of this. And just overall, I think that the message is Apple's not doomed. They're doing well. So, let's go ahead and move on here. Next article up here on Mac, 9 to 5 Mac. Apple says 50% of this is actually going back to the results here. Apple does say 50% of Mac and iPad buyers during that quarter two were new to the devices. Like we just said, they just showed a huge increase in all those markets there, but they did say that almost 50% of that increase was people that are new to the iPad as well as the Mac to these devices, which is great. I'm just so happy to hear more people are starting to realize that you're not so happy with the previous products you were using, right? Right, Jeff?
Well, I'd be really curious to know, like how are the other things that are comparable doing? For iPad, it might be Chromebook. If you're like, oh, okay, we're going to be back at school, but only part-time. So what's the solution there? And in some places, it might be bring your own device. Like I've known of people who like got an iPad for their kid for going back to school so that it would be more seamless between their hybrid and their in-person classes. So I'd be curious, but like that's their choice. And that's not often the school's choice anymore, that they're going with the Apple things, much as Apple may wish they were. So anyway, I find that interesting, but yeah, they've been putting out some really good products in the iPad and Mac place, and it shows.
Absolutely. What do you think, Jeff?
I like looking at numbers like this in context with the other numbers like this. Better way to say this. When I look at these numbers, what I'm seeing are numbers where we're getting more new users. It's easier and costs less to retain a customer, and Apple has very high customer retention. So when I see numbers like this, where it's 50% of Mac buyers in the quarter were new to the platform, to me, that says, okay, now a few quarters down the road, we're going to still have these people as customers, and they're going to be buying more Apple products, which means even more stupid, uncomprehendable numbers for Apple sales figures.
Yeah.
I've helped a few people set up new machines in the last 6 months. Yeah. And the word about M1s, even people who don't know that name are like, I heard that processor's real fast. Like I've heard that from not techie people that, they were impressive, and it looks like it's making a difference.
Yeah, sure is. Then I thought this was interesting in Mac rumors here. Apple began preparing for AirTag regulatory approval almost 2 years ago, which we know this kind of explains why it took 2 years to first finally get these AirTags, which will be arriving for tomorrow for many of us. Apple revealed that that the regulatory testing and preparing to seek regulatory approval of this product, it was 2 years before they were officially announced. And so, they go through some documentation through the FCC and making sure they're compliant. But just to sum it up, it just makes total sense that it took them this long a time to get it approved, especially as to go through the FCC in the United States. That's definitely going to take time for it to get in place. And we've been having debates, and you and I talked about it just pre-show, that between the Tile and the Apple Tag, a lot of us still have Tile, and we're not sure if you really want to dive into it or not. So I'm not surprised that it took this long with this part. Don't you think that, Jeff?
Our government is designed to move slow. This is not an accident. So, yeah, I am not surprised at all that this was something that they were working on 2 years ago. I mean, look at the Apple Watch. It has functionality that isn't fully taken advantage of, and that's because regulatory processes take a really long time. So just release the product, and then down the road, maybe you can do a software update that enables more stuff, or maybe you just save that for the next model or whatever. But yeah, this is a slow process, so no surprise.
Yeah, not surprised, Brittany.
I didn't realize that it had taken that long till we talked about it.
Okay.
But yeah, we're nice and slow, and I've been anxiously waiting for a while because there were limitations in Tile, and they were behaving in such a way that I was okay with the limitations, but I wanted a better product.
Yeah, it's about battery life. I heard that was like a lot of people. Dave Hamilton was complaining big time about that, though. It was taking up so much battery life on his iPhone.
Who would have put money on Apple standardizing on a battery you can replace yourself?
I was surprised.
I would have lost that bet.
I would have lost that bet too.
2032, a little wafer battery. So, Brittany, did you pre-order on AirTag?
Yeah, and I didn't know the engraving would make a difference, and I didn't think anybody else cared because nobody else sounded like they cared, and I had a really busy work day, and I did it too late. And they're not coming until June.
June? Oh no! Oh, I had my order in at 7:02 a.m. my local time, and got engraved.
I should have done that, but
I put D1, D2, D3, D4, so it's got just my first initial with numbers, so I know
if I had thought engraving would have mattered. And actually, I opened it in the morning to buy them, and then I had to go work. And the reason I didn't buy them was because I was trying to decide on the engraving. And if I just said no engraving, I would be getting them tomorrow. This is what
Brittany,
the face of regret, people.
I'm about to add to your regret, maybe salt in the wound. So I ordered just one on a whim.
A 4-pack.
And so, they'd been available for hours and hours and hours. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll buy one. I was actually seriously brushing my teeth at the time. Picked up my iPhone, tapped on the Apple Store, and then and picked one, and it showed delivery date May 5th, but it also showed in-store delivery. So yeah, I'll tap that. No problem. I didn't do engraving, and so I picked mine up at 11:15 tomorrow morning.
At the store.
Yes. And that actually was still an option a few days ago. But the problem is I've been hunkering 2 hours away from the closest Portland store, or the closest Apple store in Portland.
Yeah. And mine is literally a 5-minute drive.
Yeah. So I probably will end up doing that when I'm going to be in Portland anyway, if that's available. But I could not bring myself to spend 4 hours driving tomorrow to get them.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah. So we'll definitely be reviewing them. I'll definitely have you guys back on the show and give us your thoughts in the next couple weeks. So I'll get
be clear, I haven't been waiting for these since they leaked. I've been waiting for these for much longer than that.
Yeah.
Like I knew that a first party one was the only way it would really, really work. I'm so angry with myself.
And who thought that the Find My is open to many others besides I
don't know if I would have seen that coming, but I knew that the only way to really do it right was for Apple to do one, and I had just been waiting and waiting to hear it.
Well, you'll have it soon enough. The next story. Next story, Mac rumors. There was the big upheaval that the iPad Pro, of course, is going to be pre-ordered tomorrow as we record this on April 30th. That's a 5 a.m. Pacific time if you're taking notes here. And the new 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Originally was reported that if you had the previous model Magic Keyboard, that it was not going to work at all. So everybody was in a complete uproar that why is that? Can't be. Well, an article just published actually earlier today as we record this that they're saying it is quote unquote functionally compatible with the older Magic Keyboard, but the fit may be imperfect when closed. So maybe you can get it to work after all if you're okay with this. It's a smidge off of the fit. If you really don't want to be spending another $350 for another Magic Keyboard, so now they say it's quote unquote going to fit, and there is an actual support document about it too from Apple in an article too. So, what are you gonna do here, right, guys? I mean, it's this crazy stuff.
We're talking 0.5 millimeter, thickness difference. Meaning the newer iPads 0.5 millimeter thicker, and we're talking about products where Apple has incredibly fine tolerance controls, and that keyboard cover was designed to fit where everything was just flat, no wobbly anything. So, you put the new iPad in the old cover, and it's going to close, but it's not going to close as tight and flat, is my guess.
Yeah. And when you have it out in the open, it's going to still hang and still do its thing.
It's still going to work exactly the same, but it's not going to have that Apple
perfect
fit and finish feel that they want.
And they even said
there will be some people who will get the new one just for that reason, but it's nice to know maybe not everybody has to.
Yeah, it's good. At least they backtracked on it. That they did said the fit issue would also exacerbate if you have a screen protector on your iPad Pro, so that'll add another millimeter of error to it. So, but we'll soon find out when everybody has it out in the wild. I plan on, unless I change my mind last minute here, is to trade in my 2018 11-inch iPad Pro, and I'm going to stay with the 11-inch iPad Pro with the new model. So, and probably we'll get up early morning and put the order in. It's not it goes pre-order, like I said, tomorrow on the April 30th. I guess I saw another article that someone found in some metadata on a website said it's not going to ship until the 21st of May. As people just, they could just go out there and look for metadata on websites to find out something that Apple doesn't actually say. But then Apple live
in an amazing world.
We do. And then Apple immediately removed that metadata out of the website, and then said it's still going to mid-May, second week of May, whatever they say. So we'll see what happens. But are you guys? But you're still waiting to get your iPads fixed, right, Jeff? Your screens.
Okay, this is awful. I mean, talk about first world problems. So I have 2 iPads where the batteries are wearing out. So they need new batteries. But then my 12.9-inch iPad Pro, which is my iPad that I use the most, the battery is fine in that one. So
good. So you're good.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm good. And as much as I love what they're doing with the new iPad Pro, I can't justify getting
12.9. Oof. Max it out at $2,400.
Yeah. And I mean, if I were to get the 12.9, which is what I would get, I mean, I'd have to go with 1 terabyte because I'd want to have the 16 gigs of RAM, but I also use it as video production machine, so that 1 terabyte of storage would really be useful. So, but then at that point, do I just spring the extra money and go 2 terabytes?
You'll have 16 gigs of RAM too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you get 16 gigs with 1 or 2 terabytes. So, right. But then there's the other side of it. Maybe I shouldn't be spending money like that when I currently don't actually have a job. So,
I mean, you want to split hairs.
I mean, I have plenty of credit cards. It's not like I couldn't get one.
Yeah.
Brittany, you have an iPad, right?
Yeah, I have the 1 terabyte of the 11-inch Pro from before.
Yeah,
and
I have.
It's pretty great. I can have
256, but same.
Exactly what versions I want for whatever emergency comes up of all Star Wars movies at any given moment, internet or no. It's a pretty great luxury. But if I were gonna get it, I'd have to have the 16 gigs. Let's not be crazy. But mine is mostly serving my needs, and most of my needs involve taking, in terms of work I actually get paid for. They're taking notes while I'm in a meeting. That's mostly what I do with it. It's like chicken scratch notes. I do some other fancier things. I appreciate the extra RAM. I would be a little bit more tempted if the fancy screen were on the 11-inch, but it's not.
It's not.
And so I don't get that extra benefit of like, okay, I'm out and I'm walking outside and it's pretty and I can't see my screen. I'm going to impulse buy this new iPad because it won't fix that. And so, yeah, I'm holding, this is what I told my partner. I am currently not tempted to buy it, but no promises for the future. Like if we find out something amazing, it can do a dub, like all bets are off.
WWDC could be a serious problem for me.
Yes. We've got some new stuff.
Or like some LiDAR feature I desperately need. It's a possibility. I reserve the right to impulse buy one if I need to. The
next story was again, Mac Rumors and Jeff and I were just talking about this pre-show here. Apple Clips app adds immersive AR spaces enabled with the LiDAR scanner. And I had, with you, Jeff, we both said this. We probably pretty much forgot about this Apple Clips app. I think I used it right at the beginning and it's been installed. I don't know about you, Brittany, but we've been pretty much been installed on my phone all this time. And I probably hadn't opened it in the last 6 or 12 months. So it's interesting. But what they did was they updated this to version 3.1. It's an interesting, the support for the LiDAR scanner on the iPhone 12 Pro and the Pro Max, as well as the iPad Pro 2021 models that have the LiDAR. With the AR Space feature, you can scan a room, then transform the space into immersive visual effects that map the contours of the room. So maybe it'd be interesting to try that out. And there's 7 AR spaces they list here. A lot of advanced tools with AR. And then they said Apple going forward now is going to get monthly updates. So maybe the Clips app might become a thing. I don't know. Have you used the Clips app before already?
Once when it was new. I haven't had it on a phone in several phones. But yeah, and I don't have LiDAR.
Right. Yeah, because
I needed the phone to fit in my hand. Yeah.
You got the Mini. Yeah,
the record I would have gotten a Mini Pro, but
same thing you, Jeff. You still have the iPhone 10, so
right. And and the thing for me with this was that no, I'm coming in the sentence backwards. Let me try that again. The big news for me with the Clips announcement wasn't that they added these new features. It's that the app still existed. Like, seriously, I had forgotten about it completely.
Me too. So, if it's out there, if you want to check it out, and I might start playing with it and see if with my iPhone 12 Pro Max and see what happens. So, next story here at 9 to 5 Mac, Apple releases another firmware update version for the AirPods and the AirPods Pro. They released an updated firmware version for both the AirPods 2 and the AirPods Pro, and the version is 3E751 and comes 7 months after the previous firmware was released. And I always find it fascinating, the fact that they do this firmware upgrade and you have no idea that it's going to happen, unless the only way we know about it is because of they put out a news story and say, yeah, there's a firmware upgrade, and then it just updates and you don't even know what happens. And
that's true. You have no idea if it's actually ever applied to your AirPods.
So you can check. But it's not easy.
You can go in and actually it'll show you, when you go into the Bluetooth, go to AirPods, click the I for the info, and then it will show the serial number and all the information about your AirPods, and then it will tell you what firmware version is on it. And it's just interesting that they just and they never tell you what they do to it. So you're putting something in your ear and they don't tell you what they're doing to fix it. You kind of wonder about that sometimes.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Maybe mine will start beeping that the battery is low before the battery actually dies.
No, that wouldn't be helpful.
That's just crazy talk.
Yeah, why would they want to do that? It is crazy talk here. And then last story here, I was also 9 to 5 Mac, is Apple was testing a new tags feature in the App Store, improved granularity in search. And then after they released this article, this was actually today as we record this, they officially rolled it out. And Apple did share something on Twitter and saying the search suggestions are now out and starting to roll out to users in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. And what it is basically is that you're going to show some tags when you start typing stuff at the very top of the search box in the App Store, and it'll have related tags as you can get to it. So, because the App Store, let's face it, it was very archaic. It was really hard to find things. And I think, Brittany, I know you could probably attest to that, being with ADHD and not being able to find things and drive you crazy. And what did you think?
Well, I mean, App Store, finding things in the App Store is not unique to any particular brain type. It's pretty awful for everybody.
Yeah,
it really seems like it. What do you think, Jeff?
Okay, so I don't think I'm getting that. I'm sorry, I just started talking all over everyone. But I just did a search in the App Store, and I'm not getting the tags yet.
Yeah, but it's still rolling out.
I am getting something different from what I had before, where I'm getting little icons to the left of the app names in the list. Like I started to type stabilizer, and I got as far as stab, and I have this long list, and so I have a magnifying glass next to a lot of the results. One of them, I have a little silhouette of a person. And it tells me now that that's in the developer section, that thing. And then another one has the watch icon next to it, and it even tells me that's in the watch apps. So that's not something I've seen before. All right. Well, that was fun.
Neither.
Yep. No. Well, we'll see when they come out and see how effective they really will be. So. Let's go ahead, and that's the news for this week that we're going to go over this week, and let's go into topics. And I always talk about beta, and interesting when iOS 14.5 was rolled out finally on Monday of this week as we record this. 14.6 had come out right around the same time, the betas. I always love it when Apple overlaps the release candidate to the beta 1. So, and if you're not careful, you were on beta, you might have downloaded 14.6. You would continue on to your beta world here. So, they did seed it on. They did seed it on that Friday, the 23rd, and then iOS 14.5, which we'll be talking about here in just a bit, was released finally on Monday, the 25th, 26th. And no knowledge of anything that's changed so far. People have been watching the boards, watching the videos on YouTube, see if anybody said anything, they noticed anything different, and I haven't seen anything. So I'm assuming, Brittany, you did brave going into beta world because you really wanted that being able to Face ID for wearing a mask, and but I'm assuming you're not going to go into that beta world for this round.
Honestly, I don't have a problem with it. 14 is pretty stable at this point. Mm-hmm. And actually, I think this dub I am going to see if anybody wants to accidentally let me see what their developer account is to do the beta at WWDC. Because I took a whole week off of work so I could do stuff about it.
There's public beta. You can do
doing
public
the whole
beta.
thing. But the public isn't for like a month or two after.
Yeah. Okay. Right. They
dub. Yeah.
I thought they had. It's out there. No, it is released. For beta 1 is for public and for developers.
Right now, yeah, but when it's iOS 15,
15,
it'll be a month or two delayed. Yeah. Yep. I actually was going to do the 14.6 because why not? But it's not as automatic. Like it doesn't like prompt you to do it. And I was just lazy.
Yeah, because that was a new feature when they were overlapping. They actually said you could do 14.5, but then 14.6 was available. That was actually the first time I'd seen them do that. They'd actually make you go over there right away.
So it wasn't just me.
No, it wasn't you. So, and Jeff, I know you don't dabble in beta much. I think we've talked about that before.
I don't dabble on beta on my mission critical devices.
Right.
So my iPhone does not run beta, and the 12.9-inch iPad Pro does not run beta, but on that Friday when 14.6 came out, my 10.9-inch iPad Pro, that one is always running beta. So gotcha. I had that updated and was poking around in there, not finding anything new. Days before we had 14.5 official.
Absolutely. So that's about it for beta this week. That's what I said. It's not very exciting, but what is exciting is iOS 14.5 is out to everybody, and we could talk about it more and start talking about some of the great stuff. I have this long laundry list, but there's no way we're going to get through all that long laundry list in this short show here. So, but I really wanted to highlight some of the really key features. And I know Brittany can't wait to start talking about the being able to unlock your iPhone with your Apple Watch while you're wearing a mask. And you've had it in beta for a while, and I'm just imagining you have absolutely loved having it.
And I've also had house parties where like we're all over, but like except when food goes in your mouth, you're in a mask. We've done some of those, and not having to like enter my passcode in the confines of my own house, let alone grocery shopping. It's amazing and it's exciting, and I have been just like. It kind of makes me giggle every time because this is exactly what I've been wanting them to do while everyone else is saying, bring back Touch ID. And I was like, no, just let me unlock it with my watch. And I know it doesn't help people who don't have a watch, and I'm so sorry. But I had a watch, and I wanted it to unlock my phone, and now it does, and I'm very happy.
That's good. And I'm same with you, Jeff. You've been enjoying that feature?
I'm very happy with it. Now, I don't brave grocery stores. I order my groceries online and then go wait in the parking lot to pick them up. But I'm out and about enough that I have to wear a mask on a very regular basis. And it's been so annoying not being able to just unlock my iPhone with my Apple Watch. So once I had that installed, or 14.5 installed, I got that turned on, and I was home alone and went and put my face mask on and just kept doing this.
Yeah, I was doing something incredibly stupid when I installed it. And I don't just mean because I installed beta software on my watch, which you cannot recover from. But
yes.
I had visited my sister, and we were going to fly home, and not just in any airport, but Phoenix. And there's a few people there who don't think that they need to wear masks, even though that's the law. And anyway, so and then our flight got we had to wait for a new plane because our plane was broken. So we were at the airport all day, which was not the safe plan I had for we'll barely be in the airport in our nonstop flight. But it meant I didn't have to take off my mask for nearly as many things, and I could unlock my phone all day, and it made the entire cranky making experience slightly less cranky making.
We don't want you cranky. And then I also forgot to mention that iOS 14.5 was released when it was released this week. It took 87 days and 8 betas for us to finally get what we wanted. Is this finally release here? Just crazy.
I was starting to question if it was ever going to come out of beta.
Yeah, it was just I'd never seen them do this so much. So, and then of that feature with the of unlocking with the watches, you Jeff did a great video about it too, which I'm going to have a link in the show notes so everybody can take a look at that. So we want everybody to check that out. So that's exciting too. And of course, the other big thing was the ATT asked to track privacy. That's what they call it. And that was quite the controversy that was going on with this. And I think that's probably what held it back a lot, was just so much pushback from a lot of the advertisers, a lot of the developers. But I think it's a good thing. I think Apple did a good thing by creating this for us as users we can be keep private when we want to, and we have control of it. So, Brittany, what would you think of Apple doing this? I think this was an important thing that they really did, and it's going to really set a precedent.
It's time. It's just time. I'm sorry, part of it's not working for some people, and I get that they had to go back and forth, and it's entirely possible Apple knew when they made the announcement they weren't going to be able to release it right away, and they were going to have to negotiate. But if you never put it out there, you never start the negotiating process that then leads you to finally turning it on. So I'm stoked. It makes me feel way better about some of my more vulnerable family members and the things that they may not realize that they're giving away on their phone. And yeah, I have some family plans this weekend. Let's put it that way. Happy birthday. I'm updating your phone for you.
Yeah, it's some tech support this weekend. So I was glad they did that. So Jeff, I mean, what were your thoughts on this? I definitely think it's something that I'm glad they did.
Oh yeah. My feeling has been for a very long time that we should not be exploited just like carte blanche by companies for their own advertising purposes. It feels very sinister, very creepy to me. So the fact that Apple did this, I think, is great. And my big complaint about it is that they didn't do this years ago. And this is the sort of thing that it takes Apple to do, because they're in the position where they can see we don't care. We think this is right, and we're going to do it. And they're big enough they can just do it. And so we'll see other companies follow suit eventually, and then we'll see these creepy companies that are heinously exploiting our personal data for their own revenue gain. We'll see them finding new ways to work around this.
Yeah,
it's always a tug of war. Mm-hmm. Actually, could I bring up a thing that some audience members might not have thought of?
Sure.
I don't know how common knowledge this is, but it turns out that if you're the type of person with indoor plumbing, it's a complex system. And there are an awful lot of apps out there to try to help you track and understand this very complex system. And some of them are predatory. And some of them are using your data in inappropriate ways. And before, the only thing you had was like, it connects to health kits, so I think it's probably okay.
A plumbing
and yeah, and we're talking about some pretty sensitive data. Wow. That companies have been caught exploiting before, and in really creepy ways. So the fact that I can now, like my friend, when it was early on in just beta, not everybody had updated their apps, et cetera, et cetera. My friend recommends this app to me that she's been using. And first thing I did was scroll down to look at it. And I was like, wow, this thing is a train wreck.
Yeah.
And like, I impulsively hit download before I read it. And I was just like, quit download.
Yeah, you don't want that app on your phone. Absolutely.
So, Brittany, have you found a period tracker app that you think is good and safe?
There are ones that definitely are way better. And it depends on if you're just tracking menstruation or more complex fertility issues. Kindara has been a pretty good one, and it does connect to HealthKit for the important things. And they seem to be pretty responsible. And so far their tag looked good when I checked it. I should check it now that it's released to the public, but I did check it a few weeks ago. Yeah. And that one, in fact, I can check it.
Cool.
And then other thing I want to go back to the Apple Watch briefly is I didn't even realize they added this. You can now back up your Apple Watch backup to iCloud, because if I remember before, the Apple Watch could only do its own independent backup, and you never were able to see it or know where it was. Well, there's now, if you go into under the iCloud account and go under manage your storage, and it shows the things that you're backing up, there is a there is a little toggle function there that under iCloud control panel that you can turn on or off the Apple Watch backup, the stores in your iCloud. I started playing with that when I just discovered this today as I was going through the notes. And there it is. Yeah, there's a toggle switch there that you could turn it on or turn it off. Well, I don't know why you'd want to turn it off, because it's but it's there. But you still can't find the backup, and I haven't gone into backups to see if it's actually listed just like it is with your iPad and your iPhone in the backup list. But yeah, it's there. It's kind of interesting to see that. So. Of course, they've added support for AirTags with the Find My, as well as utilizing the U1 chip that's in the iPhone 11 and later for precision finding, like hotter, colder. I can't wait to start playing with that to see if see how it goes. I want to dive into that couch too at the spring loaded event and find some things like my keys.
Yeah, I want to get that product red iPod Nano that's down in that couch.
I'll go grab that. I'll grab that. So I think that was cool. And then Apple Maps. That was there's quite a bit of change there. They've done stuff similar to Waze, crowdsourcing for accidents, hazards, and speed checks, which is, I think that's a great thing with the Maps. Apple Maps definitely has needed some much needed updates for that when it comes to that. So I think that's going to make a difference with that. So, do you use Apple Maps? I'm assuming, do you use that, Jeff?
Yes. That's my, excuse me, that's my digital map platform of choice. Google Maps around here, it's fine, but oftentimes won't get, street direction correct, meaning they want you to go the wrong way in a one-way street or take you to the wrong side of the building. And Apple Maps has gotten good enough that I prefer it. And I stopped using Wise a long time ago because at least around here, it was basically a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I like I could get Cookie Monster as my voice of choice. It was important to be able to hear him.
You see, that was great. And if only everything else is as good as Cookie Monster, then
Cookie Monster tells you to go the wrong way. It's
you're a dummy. You're going the wrong way.
Yeah. So, I actually with Waze, I got so frustrated at one point when it took me off the highway, routed me on this crazy route through downtown Denver, and then brought me back and put me back on the highway at the exit where it took me off. And I'm like, you know what? This is over. And I deleted the app while I was sitting there in traffic on the highway.
No ways for you.
No ways for me. Now, I expect that people are going to complain initially about the Waze-like features in Apple Maps because it takes time for people to get data in there and to start using it regularly. So initially, it won't be as data rich with current information as Waze is, but I expect over time that will change.
Yep. And other thing, and of course, I'm still getting used to having CarPlay in my car, although my car radio now has to be replaced because it kept freezing up and causing problems. So I'll have to get that replaced as soon as they get it in stock. That's a whole other story. But Apple Maps, you now can send an ETA message from Apple Maps in CarPlay via either Siri or a keyboard control. So if you want to send some of your ETA or how far you are to that destination, they've added that too. Cool. Yeah. And then AirPlay 2, they've added support for Fitness Plus, which is great. Workouts can be streamed via AirPlay 2 on any compatible TV or device. And so they've added some enhanced features for that, which I'm excited about. And then this one I thought was interesting is with Siri. You can now set a preferred streaming music service to use when you're asking Siri to play a song. So I tried it out. I asked, hey, S person, since you have to be correct now, since you have to decide which voice you want. I said, play me this song. And then the first thing that came up is, I'm trying to figure out what you want. I'm learning how you want what service you want to use. And then it gave the whole list. So it actually showed Apple Music, of course, and it showed Apple Podcasts, but it showed other podcast catchers that I use too, including Pocket Casts. I use, I don't know if everybody's familiar with Radio Paradise, which is a pretty cool music streaming service. So to use that, and Pandora and iHeartRadio. So it does give you a choice of which ones you want to do first for that. So I think that was pretty cool. So you'll have to check that out, Brittany, if you haven't already. And then the Siri also added the voices as we just mentioned. So then you've got it's not going to be at default when it's first installed. So you get to choose which gender, and which accent to who you want to hear, anywhere between Irish to English to British to Indian to and then male and female voices. So you can choose whatever you want.
And there's there's 4 total American accents.
4, right? 4, right?
Voice 2 and 3 being the new ones. And they're amazing and so much more natural. And voice 3 is now my Siri, and my screen reader, when I occasionally use it, is voice 2.
I did set to voice 4. Let's try voice 3.
Hi, I'm Siri. Choose the voice you'd like me to use.
Guess it does sound pretty. That's number 3.
Yeah,
it's very natural.
Siri, choose the voice you'd like me to use.
That does sound a lot more natural.
Yeah, that's what I set my iPhone. And I still need to set my iPad because I want the same voice everywhere. But I did set my HomePod and both HomePod minis to the new female voice as well.
At Jay's not quite recommendation.
Yeah.
Removed from Mac voices.
It's Jay Miller.
I wish I could get the voice that Jay wants, because that would be the best. It's kind of weird on my HomePods because it sounds more human, and at times it's almost creepy.
The first week or two, I was by myself in this house, and I talked to Siri. I was like, "Why is there a guy next to me?"
Yeah,
I'd gone from the old default to voice 3, and now it's just. I don't yell at Siri as much because the voice is more soothing and just more natural sounding, like a real voice.
Yeah, it's surprising what a difference there is in these new voices.
Like even the pauses feel organic, like more like a person pause than a computer thinking pause. Unless they get to on it 3 times in a row, in which case it just sounds like Siri screwing up again.
Yep. And then moving on to reminders. Now you have the ability to sort lists by due date, creation date, priority, or title, which is great. But I like this. Now you have the ability to print a reminders list. Finally, you should be able to do that.
Why did any of those take until today?
I don't know. Good question.
Seriously. I mean, stuff like that are reasons why I never even considered switching from OmniFocus. Of course, you can do tons more, but that's not the point. The point is that Apple's Reminders app was so limited, so hobbled, that I couldn't imagine using it.
Absolutely. And Apple News, you can use Apple News, or if you subscribe, you have Apple News Plus. I have that as part of my Apple One bundle. You have now the addition of a search tab. I couldn't believe. I remember when that one came into beta, I was like, holy cow, why wouldn't you be able to search something in news? I want to be able to search. So now the search bar is right there. You can search for something you're looking for in the news. The News Plus section has now a For You feature that tells you that curates something that they think is going to be a good fit for you, what you're looking at. And then the Browse tab is now an easier access, so you'll be able to so they really made some changes to that. Do you guys subscribe to News Plus like I do?
No.
Nope.
So, but if you use Apple News, you can still use it without the Plus. So, and then Translate. Now you can adjust the playback speed by long pressing on the play button while listening to a translation. So you can adjust the playback speed slower, faster, and however you want. Because of course, sometimes we try to listen to its translation when you're trying to translate it to English. In our case,
can't wait to go somewhere and use that.
Yeah.
Someday, go somewhere and use it.
Like you're somewhere that maybe speaks French and
really any other language or any other place.
I just picked French randomly. So that's going to be great. So then shortcuts. I know we all use shortcuts. The new actions for screenshots, locking orientation of the iPhone, and switching between different cellular data modes. Interesting that they got
that's cool.
stock shortcuts for that. So, and then we talked about Find My earlier. So now they're adding support for Beats headphones, Belkin wireless earbuds. And they're going to be under this items tab. So, and we're going to probably start seeing more and more third-party earbuds and earbuds for that. Yes.
You can find Beats and not AirPods.
Oh, AirPods too, of course. AirPods, you always
can't really find AirPods because if you're good and put them in your case, you can't find them.
I don't know. I haven't tried it, but you're supposed to. Because when you go to Find My and it shows you all the map of all your devices, you usually see your Mac, your iPad, your iPhone. I think the AirPods would usually be listed too.
It won't help you find them. It'll just let you know that they were last opened in a particular location.
Right.
But that doesn't help me if they're somewhere in my house. And I already knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. The whole searchability of AirPods is sorely lacking.
Yeah. So
you're right.
Next ones that come out need the AirTags built into the case. And I don't care if you charge more for them. Thanks. That's my TED Talk.
Okay. Apple AirPods Pro 2.
I do know many people that attached a tile to their AirPods case.
And they don't fit in my pants as well. Otherwise, I would have.
That's true. They don't fit as well.
And here's the feature. And then speaking of AirTags, here's the feature that everybody was worried about. Under the Me tab, you now can toggle on/off item safety features that will allow a person to see if an AirTag had been placed on them without their knowledge. So it does have the control in Find My, because that's been I've seen news stories about people really being concerned about you being able to slip one of those AirTags into their bag or wherever, and you'd be able to track them.
So why are people freaking out about this now, and they never freaked out about it with Tile?
With Tile, right? Because it's Apple.
Because Apple did it. It got more news coverage, and now they have to notice. Yeah, and it might be because of the more precision finding, but like if it's on a person, you can see the person by the time you're that close.
It's Apple.
I don't know. Because it's Apple. That's why.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of wrap things up here with we've got some security things. Apple has begun using Google's safe browsing feature as it's proxying it so Google cannot collect as much data from an individual's IP address. Yay. So even though they have their exclusivity with the search and browsing with Google, they're going to protect us from that. And then Safari now includes a fraudulent website warning that runs through the Google Safe browsing function as well, which is good. And proved how zero-click attacks are handled and prevented within Safari. So they've added some good security enhancements across the board there. So I think that's really important. Bug fixes. If you have an iPhone 11, they've now they have with battery health metrics. Will now have the battery health recalibration tool that's now going to be built into the OS to allow you to improve the battery health. If it's saying that it's down to, let's say 90%, maybe you'll be able to bump it up to 95% if it allowed to recalibrate, which is good for those who still have the iPhone 11. None of us here have that, so I think we're safe. And emergency alerts can now be toggled to play a sound or not when the phone is silenced. This is done by toggling the always deliver feature on or off. So you'll be able to make some changes in the emergency alerts because those drive me crazy. And in fact, I try to turn some of them off because it just, I understand I want to be alerted about an Amber Alert, but I don't want to be alerted about an Amber Alert at 2:00 in the morning either. So, because some of those alerts, I know they're important, but some of those alerts do pop up time to time.
Yeah. The ones that should be able to, and I know we don't have a system that's sophisticated, but like I'm a big person on notifications. Like if it will endanger my safety before I can wake up, please break through do not disturb. If it will not, by all means, find some way to tell me when I'm awake.
Absolutely.
If there's a flood coming or, the big earthquake in the Pacific Northwest we've been freaking out about for a long time, you can go ahead and wake me up. I'm good. But, there's not a lot I can do at 2 a.m. about somebody who got kidnapped. And I'm not insensitive to that, but I can't do anything about it. Yeah. And I haven't been particularly bothered by them, but I know people who have been. And yeah, it's good to know. Also, I don't need 6 of them going off for the fire warnings that we had. Just
exactly.
My iPhone's good.
Exactly. So that's some, not all, many others that are out there. I don't need to go through all of them. But the last thing I wanted to talk about today, and Jeff, you did an awesome video about this, is the tvOS 14.5 that came out now has a color balance feature, which I think is so cool, that lets you tweak the colors of your TV on the Apple TV and not your TV, just for the Apple, for this explicit use for the Apple TV. Why don't you share a little bit with us, Jeff, as far as what you saw? And I experienced exactly what you experienced. So
it's great. It's like getting a free color calibration upgrade system for your television. And at the video I made, the demo, I used an Apple TV HD, not 4K. And my television
won't
TV. Stop being great. It's an old Sony Bravia 32-inch television, so it's got to be close to 15 years old. And I let it run the calibration, and I could see the difference, and it's actually better. But it wasn't a huge difference. And there's some people I've seen saying, well, it didn't make a dramatic change to my television, therefore it's not good. No, your television actually had a pretty good color profile already. Yeah. And so it just needed a fine-tuned adjustment. But yeah, it worked really well. And the only problem that I had, which I've heard other people have had too, when I did the video, of course, I did the whole process before I recorded it to make sure I had all the steps correctly. Right. And then I wiped out the calibration profile. When I went to record it the first time, it didn't work.
Of course. That's how it always works.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so I'm like, screw it. So I just restarted the Apple TV, and I had to restart my iPhone, and then it was fine. And I've heard other people say, no, what you need to do is just leave the app on the Apple TV, go down to settings, go to another app, like open up Netflix, and then go back into the settings app, and it'll be fine. So if by chance it doesn't work for you initially, there are workarounds.
Brittany, do you have an app? Do you have an Apple TV you use all the time? Or?
I do, but it's so old that it is not part of this equation. It's pre-apps.
So it's third gen, which is a lot of apps are starting to disappear on that now, like YouTube and such. Okay.
In fact, like Disney doesn't want to AirPlay to it, and so we have to end up AirPlaying to the TV. And anyway,
and then also. I'll also mention that we do have a link in the show notes to Jeff's video, so you want to be able to should go check that out as well. And then I don't normally mention Mac, but Mac OS 11.3 Big Sur is out. But what excited me about that relates to iOS is HomePod. My HomePod pair now plays as a pair, and never used to do that before when the previous versions of Big Sur, because for some reason, they didn't put it in there to allow you to be able to play in your paired HomePods. So now it will, and I don't have to play it to the left or the right. I had to choose which one I wanted to listen to with the HomePod. So they released that, and then HomePod 14.5 was released as well, which is interesting the way it updates. You have to kind of go into the HomeKit and then go to the HomePod to tell it to update. And of course, you can pair HomePod Minis too if you have a pair of HomePod Minis. You can pair those together if you so desire as well. So
and you can tell your new HomePod to use the new Siri voice.
Yes, you can.
Yes, and
then you can have a not uncanny valley, but much more realistic than you've been accustomed to voice speaking in my case, bedroom.
I can see where that would be startling.
And I also did mention the Apple TV, the new Apple TV remote. Of course, you have the new Apple TVs that'll be out tomorrow. I'm not going to be running out and buying those quick because I have a 4K, old 4K, and I have an HD. I think those are more than sufficient for what I need. But I definitely do want to check out the new Apple the Siri remote, the Apple TV Siri remote that's coming out. I believe you could probably pre-order those tomorrow as well. I have to check. I don't know if we're advertising that. I think it was just iPads for tomorrow, or maybe it was the Apple TV. Oh, I've lost track. But
yeah, I think the Apple TV and the iPads.
Okay,
I think.
Well, I'll order a remote too. I have to give it that review. It has to go along with my Function 101 remote and that dreaded.
Right. Your Apple TV remote that doesn't have AirTag built in.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Well, what people are going to do is they're going to have a silicon case for it with a ring, so you're going to be able to put the AirTag in there instead, which will make the remote look ridiculous. So maybe they'll come up with one that'll actually put it into the back of the remote like it should have been. So
they'll charge $20 more for it, and it'll be worth it because you only need one.
Yeah, because you're always looking for that remote too. So, but all right, I think we have brought this show to a close this week because we've talked about some great stuff. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We had some fun telling you about it. So let me go ahead and wrap things up this week. And that is a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. And Brittany, thank you so much for being here, Brittany Smith. And please tell everybody where we can find you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it was
on
so
Twitter, my nerdy stuff is ADD Liberator, and you can often find me talking a bunch on Mac Voices Live with these other fine folks.
Yes.
And my website, if you're interested in my more productivity focused stuff, is conquer.consulting.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And then Jeff Gamet, please tell everybody where they can find you, including all your videos.
Oh, yeah. Well, my videos are on YouTube, and there will be more soon. And I am Jay Gamet on Twitter and Instagram. I'm basically Jay Gamet everywhere online. And I'm feeling pretty lucky because this is the second time this week that I've been on a show with both of you. So
I know.
Aww.
Pretty awesome.
I feel lucky too, being with both of you.
Yeah.
So
all the warm fuzzies.
All the fuzzies. So, thanks everybody for listening. We really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again soon.